Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the ShopNotes podcast, a weekly woodworking podcast from Woodsmith. I'm your host, Phil Huber, and I'm joined by Logan Whitmer and John Doyle. Today is episode number 38, and the topic is anniversary woodworking gifts.
This episode of the ShopNotes podcast is brought to you by Woodsmith Magazine. Woodsmith Magazine has been the trusted source for all your woodworking information for over 40 years. From tips and techniques to furniture projects to shop projects, you'll find it all at Woodsmith Magazine. Subscribe today at woodsmith.com.
Took my suggestion and ran with it.
Yeah.
Because titles really only are starting points.
I was hoping today would be like a 6-topic woodworking debate, and we all just like talk over each other for half an hour until we like the other two pass out from loss of oxygen, and then the third person wins. So
we can still do that, John.
And go.
Yeah. Debate to the death. So, but I like it. This is good too. I like anniversary woodworking tools. So, my wife and I are, what did we just have, our 18-year anniversary? I don't think she's ever gotten me a woodworking tool, so she's got some catching up to do.
Does she?
Yeah. So, but yeah, some of those traditional anniversary gifts would probably be appropriate, because I think like one of the years is leather, or I think one of the years is actually wood.
Yep.
You have a paper in there, diamond, obviously.
Yep.
So there's some good ones.
Yeah, paper, cotton, leather, fruit, flowers. Wood is the 5th year.
Okay. So year one for paper could be like some sort of woodworking book or plans or something.
Is that a subtle promo for woodsmithplans.com?
Right. So we have plans. We got our patent posters. So or books or magazines. So a lot of good stuff there. Right out of the gate, year one.
Right.
Love it.
See, now when we got married, one of my wife's gifts to me was a set of chisels. So that was pretty cool.
And you just rehandled those chisels.
I just did rehandle those, so
that's fun.
Set for another 20 years.
So this whole thing came up because your wife and you are celebrating an anniversary, right?
Yep.
Is that what you said?
Next week? Yep.
And she asked if there was any tools you needed.
Right.
So that's kind of let's just say that
needed is a slippery slope.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But and without giving away how old you are, Phil, it's an anniversary that falls somewhere between the 19th and the 21st anniversary, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the traditional gift for a between 19th and 21st anniversary is china. Now, I'm assuming this means like your grandmother's china that you never actually use.
Right.
But it could be like a Chinese tool, right? Like
sure. Yeah, I was going to say Harbor Freight.
No, I was thinking let's not let his wife off that easy. I'm thinking like, aren't all the Bridge City tools made in China now? Was it a Chinese firm that bought them?
Right.
Or Taiwanese. It might have been Taiwanese. That doesn't work. Sorry, I was trying to get you a nice plane, like a super
Republic
nice
of China, so that's nice. Yes. That's all right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But, yeah. So, Phil, this begs the question. If you are getting a new tool from your wife for your anniversary,
right?
What's your new tool?
In a perfect world, I would love a new bandsaw.
Okay.
I have a Craftsman 12-inch bandsaw with an aluminum frame, and it does pretty well. It's not a huge saw, but I'm pleasantly surprised with its capabilities. But having used some newer saws at work and other people's shops, especially bigger ones where I could get a little bit more, that it cuts through thicker, harder materials a little easier. That would probably be my big one. I debate on getting something like a like a domino or a track saw, but I question how much, and I think I even posed this as kind of like an informal Teams chat poll not that long ago. If you had the choice, if you would get a track saw or get a domino, and I'm just not sure I would do that, or how much I would actually use it. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny because I see that on a lot of groups. Mainly, it seems to be on the Wood Whisperer Facebook page. That it's like, hey, I always wondered if I got a domino, how much I would use it. And then everybody that says they had that thought and they bought one couldn't imagine not having it now, which is kind of interesting to me. I mean, it basically takes the place of mortise and tenon for the most part, without being a quote traditional mortise and tenon. It's a loose tenon at that point. Right. But it's interesting because it seems like a lot of people go through that same thought process with it. It's like a domino is expensive. It's $1,000 for the small one, I think.
Right.
But then a lot of people say, "Hey, I wish I would have bought this thing 10 years ago." So I haven't bought one because I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Phil. It's like, would I really use it? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other stuff I could buy with that money.
Right. Yeah.
So,
oddly enough, I don't really feel, if I would, it's not like I would add a tool. It would be to replace tools that I have with something a little nicer, because that Sears Craftsman bandsaw is, I don't know, probably from the 80s, I'm guessing. It has a conversion on it to be like a little belt sander too, that you replace the blade with like a, I don't know, 1/2 or 3/4 inch wide sanding belt, and then has a little backer platen that you can put in there. And I've never really done it other than when I first got it to put it on and be like, oh, you can do that.
Well, to be fair, that's I'm going to say without upsetting everybody, and I know I'm going to upset some people, that's when Craftsman stuff was made well. You know what I mean?
Oh, like it's a solid saw.
Yeah, there was a time period when the Craftsman tools took a tank, but it wasn't in the 80s,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I mean, and especially when you tell people, or when I tell people that it's a cast aluminum frame saw, they look at me like it should say Fisher Price, but it's pretty sturdy. I've resawn white oak on it, 5.5 inch white oak, which is about the capacity. I think I could squeeze 6 if I really wanted to, but with a wood slicer blade on there, I don't really have any concerns. I'm not doing anything for profit where time is money, so to speak. So if it goes a little slower, it's not been that big a deal, but so there you go.
Nice. Okay. So on that note, have you ever made your wife anything for an anniversary? Because this is not, we all know marriage is not a one-way street. If she's buying you a tool, you have to get her something. Or what have you made her in the past?
Well, most anniversaries I make her something.
Okay.
There's been a few where I haven't, just because she had her eye on something else, or we kind of pooled the gifts to do a larger family purchase or something like that. But
sure. And
even sometimes in those years, I've even made something small. Like for our 10th anniversary, I did a box, a gift box that kind of represented in my mind both of us. And then I had put, I went to a craft store and got silk flowers that matched the flowers that we had at our wedding. So got to have that on the inside. And now she keeps that as a memento. When we got married, I actually made her our dining room table. It's a 6 foot by 3 foot shaker style drop leaf table. So let's see, what else have I made her for anniversary? Well, because I usually end up making something for her birthday and Christmas too. So some of those bleed together.
Sure.
Woodsmith did a really... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I've made a lot of stuff for my wife at house, but it never seems to land well on a holiday or gift giving type thing. I still have it's like a little curio display cabinet that I started, let's say November 2008, and I have all the sides and all the parts made. And I got to like middle of December and stuff came up, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get this done. I'm just going to put it aside and I'll come back to it. And it is still in that state. And the parts have not finished it. Just because we haven't like needed it or had a place for it. So it's like no big rush, but it's still in that state. And it's moved to several different shops, wrapped up, shrink wrapped together, and
I say, please tell me it's like cherry or something that when you finally do go pull it apart, you can see where everything's been laying on each other, and there's weird shadow lines all over everything.
It's all white oak, so it's aged white oak now. So it'll be interesting, if there's any of that I should keep rotating it in the sunlight and just put it out in the driveway every now and again, so it's evenly aged. But there's a lot of things like that where it's like came close. It's the thought that counts.
Right.
So, yeah, when we got married, I like, I'll build a bedroom set for us, and then, I guess around our 15-year anniversary, it's like, well, that didn't happen, so I bought a bedroom set. So
yeah,
not very good about getting stuff done timely on anniversaries or Christmas or birthdays or so.
No, I had that same issue. When we found out that we were expecting our first child, I thought about making something for the baby. And then my wife was like, how about you make something for us instead? So I started a dresser for the bedroom and didn't quite get it done. And then you add new baby to the mix, and then suddenly nobody's sleeping, and spare time goes out the window. And I think it was like 7 years before I actually finished that. So
you guys are telling me I shouldn't feel bad for this tool cabinet that's still sitting there in that state, that I left it in the shop 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Although technically that was for myself, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I think the only thing that I ever actually, and it wasn't really one of those like, hey, I'm starting this for you for a Christmas or anniversary or anything. It was my wife's office, like the cabinets for her office. It was more like, she was starting to work from home, so it's like, okay, hey, I'm gonna build you a decent office set, built-ins basically. And again, they're not done. They need doors, they need trim finished on them and stuff, and it's been 2 years.
It's always more fun to start on something new and exciting than to finish anything, seems like.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like I was telling you guys earlier this week, it feels like whenever I don't get what I think is adequate shop time for my own mental sanity, I start dreaming about other projects. And then when I do get some shop time, knowing that it's not going to be very much, I go start those other projects. So now instead of like one project that I'm just plowing through, I have like 3 or 4 that I have to, anytime I want to work on any one of them, have to go move parts out of the way on different tools to clear space for them.
So it's like when you get down to where your gas light comes on, do you go as fast as you can to get to the gas station?
Right.
Okay.
You get more done. You get farther.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or
it's kind of like that bookcase I'm working on now. I'm doing really good. I just got like the last coat of finish on it, but there's no reason I need to build that bookcase. I have no place for it. I have no need for it. It was just like something easy to build, and I was just like, I'm just gonna build this, and I got that done.
My head.
But it's like, I don't know. Check it off the list.
Yeah. But, I think, unfortunately, that's the type of woodworker that I've become, is the curious woodworker. Like, I got into it thinking, like, it would be really fun to just make projects for your house and, essentially have a whole house full of stuff that you made, like self-sufficiency to the max. And then, you reach a point where you start getting family furniture, from grandmas or parents or something. And then all of a sudden it's like, I could build stuff, but there's no room for it. So I just build stuff because I want to now, or it's just something cool.
See, I get that, but I guess I haven't reached that point where there's only one thing that I want to build that I don't really have any reason, and that's a grandfather clock. I just would love to build one.
Sure.
Like, I love building clocks. If I built one, it'd have to be for somebody.
Right.
But then aside from that, I haven't reached that point where it's like, if I'm going to build something, if I'm going to take the time to build something, it's because I have a need or space for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did build my youngest, well, not even the crib that both of my sons were in. I built that. And it is currently my oldest son's bed. It was a convertible, so it goes from the crib to the full size or twin size, whatever the heck size it is. And I also built that little butthead loft bed that he doesn't use. So, every bed in our house I've built, except for our guest bedroom bed down here. But other than that, it's like, if I'm going to build something, I need to have a need for it, I guess. Sure. And I know that, so my wife and I's 12th anniversary will be this spring in May. And I know if I walk out my door in my shop and say, hey, what do you want me to build you for our anniversary? I know what she's going to say. So I'm just going to start building a stupid dining room table. I mean, I'm just going to have to do it. Like, I put it off for years. And my excuse has always been, our kids are young. They like to stab stuff with forks, and then pasta sauce gets stuck on a table and doesn't get wiped up for a couple hours. And it's like, I just have always put it off because of that. But now it's like, I'm just going to have to do it. So that's going to have to happen here in the next couple months. So,
yeah.
Plus, she doesn't like seeing me build stuff for other people. Like, I've done a couple dining room tables since she's been asking me. They've been for other people. Done some other commission work for other people. It's like she's at the point where she wants me to build something for us again. Right. So,
yeah, it's funny hearing you talk about the kids beating up the kitchen table. Today I was working on that bookcase with, like, it has a distressed antique painted finish on it, and I was just like sweating, like distressing this and sanding on it and different stuff. It's like, why am I working so hard? I could have just set this in a room with my kids and said, don't touch this, come back in 5 minutes, and it would be done. It would be distressed. So,
with authentic wear.
So hard. Yeah. So,
speaking of which, I'm going to take some credit for John's distressing on that thing from my bench from the TV show, right?
Sure. You got some practice there.
Yeah, it's got some.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll give it a
So I brought that to. I brought that bench to my my mom and dad this last weekend, and I was like, "Hey, that distressed finish turned out great. Like, it's sometimes fun to paint a finish and just beat the crap out of it."
Yep.
It's therapeutic.
It is.
So the other question I was going to ask, traditionally speaking, you are advised not to get your wife a gift that has a cord on it. Is that true in the other direction of the anniversary tool theme? Is like, she can't give you a tool with a cord on it, or not the same?
Not the same.
Like, don't give you a shop vac. That's like offensive because you can't give her a vacuum, or I don't know.
Well, ShopNotes just filed bankruptcy, so they're not gonna make vacuums anymore. John, way to rub it in.
Too soon.
Oh man.
Jeez.
So I've never heard this cord. I've never heard this cord thing.
You're never supposed to give your wife
class.
Yeah, you're never supposed to give your wife a gift with a cord on it. Like a vacuum cleaner, a washing machine, a toaster, iron, anything with a cord on it. So traditionally speaking, but my wife's like wanted stuff with cords.
Well, that's what I was thinking. My wife's like, she would the best present I could buy her would be like a new like curling iron. Like, she would love that. But like,
Well, that's just,
I've never heard that.
I think it's because
Yeah,
it's
that's
mostly
just what they say.
about like there's more to your wife than housework.
right, appliances.
Yeah.
Like you should get those things, but not as a gift.
Right.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't figured it out
Especially for like Mother's Day or birthdays.
yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She asked for a Ninja blender for Mother's Day, so that's what we got. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
if they
she asked for
it,
it, then that's
I
yeah.
don't know.
So interesting.
So what about you guys? What would you get for an anniversary if you had an anniversary tool? Or does your sawmill basically count like for the next 5 anniversaries?
No, because I've almost paid. I just spent the entire weekend milling in Cedar Rapids, and that baby's paying off for itself. So, and I think my wife recognizes that. If I was going to get one anniversary, if I was going to ask my wife for one anniversary woodworking gift, it would be sawmill related. It would probably be a sawmill blade sharpener. Because right now I have a Rubbermaid trash can, like a big one in my garage, with 40 coiled up sawmill blades in it. And they're all dull. And it's like, I can ship them out and have them resharpened, but for the cost of, it's like a total of like $90 to ship a box of 10 blades. And then the $8 or $9 to have each blade sharpened. It's like, at that point, it almost just makes more sense to buy new blades because the teeth are going to be set correctly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I would really like a sharpener, a blade sharpener.
So you have all those blades in a trash can. That's like a trash can of rattlesnakes and porcupines.
That's exactly, and I had them just coiled on the ground, but then I'm like, my kids are running around in here. One of them's going to face first into it. So I put them in the trash can because it's actually safer.
Take the lid off and everything flies out like one of those peanut cans.
The lid won't fit on it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You'd have to call the 911 just to deal with all the lacerations.
Yeah. But yeah. John, what would your anniversary tool be?
Oh, I don't know. I've just got everything I could possibly want. So yeah, it just seems like whenever I need something, I just get it, and then like kind of like when that little bandsaw showed up on my doorstep, and my wife found it.
You get it.
Happy anniversary! Yeah,
to me.
Happy anniversary to me.
It's
for all of us.
That's always been my wife's thing. Was like, I'm not gonna buy you a present because if you want something, you just buy it anyways.
Right.
It's just like,
I'm not gonna wait. I'm just gonna need. I got to get it now.
Yeah, she did buy me. She bought me my little Lee Nielsen block plane, which is somewhere, and she bought me the little Lee Nielsen mallet. I think those ended up on my Christmas list one year, and that's what she bought me, which was really nice. So.
Just since this quarantine, I've had a shop at home, but I've done most of my work at work, so I haven't needed much. But now that we've been home more and I've been working more in my own shop and getting that cleaned up, I'm sure I'll have a lot more on my Christmas list tool-wise than in the past. So we'll see what I come up with here in the next couple months.
Yeah, I always get to a point like right now. I'm not going to spin my camera around, but this is kind of, should we roll into what we're working on? Because this is kind of what this is going into.
Let's do it.
I get to a point, especially during this quarantine, and I do this even when we're not quarantined, that I just tear apart my shop and go through everything and purge. It's like the great purge. And this all happened. My shop right now is absolutely tore apart. It is a disaster. Like, I'm sure a fire marshal would have a heart attack if he walked in here, because if there was a fire, I couldn't get out of my shop because it's that big a mess. But this all came to fruition because of the bench vise stand I built for our video edition subscribers. And I had one particular wall I wanted to mount it on, which required moving a bunch of stuff, which required me to unload those cabinets And then I found all this stuff. I'm like, I don't need this dado blade anymore. Like, I have a nice set. Why do I have a Harbor Freight set? Or why do I have this set of, Robert Sorby, pen turning tools when I just use my big ones for the pens anyways, So it's like all this random stuff that I end up finding that it's like time to have some Facebook Marketplace sales. And that's what I've been doing this last week. It's like, I'll find something, take a picture of it. It's like, I bought a Harbor Freight dado blade when I bought my first table saw. And I used it once. It works great, but I have a nice CMT one. I don't need two of them really. So it's like, sell one of them, or the pen turning stuff, or somehow I ended up with 3 heat guns. Like, how do I have 3 heat guns? Why do I have 3 heat guns? It's like, I'll get rid of 2 of them. So I'm in the middle of a great purge of tools and a shop rearrangement, which I'm hoping is going to help my shop flow a little bit better. So that's my cat, if you can hear.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Good.
She wanted to see everybody.
There we go.
Yeah.
Shop cat.
Shop cat.
Yep.
Shop cats of Instagram.
Which, it's funny. I had an article I wrote about pets in the shop that we just had a lot of people who were like, no, that's dumb. The dumbest thing in the world. But then I see all these like, hey, show me your shop dog post on Facebook and everybody. Those are the most popular ones. So this is my shop cat. She sleeps under the bench. So
there you go. We'll allow it.
Okay.
Yep.
Phil, what are you working on?
I'm still working on my mystery Christmas gift. And this one is, I'm really happy with how it's turning out, but it's taxing my patience because I usually get to a point in a project where it's like, all right, all the parts are cut and it can get glued together. But really what should happen is that some of the smaller inside parts need to get finished before it gets glued together. So actually following my own advice to pre-finish is proving to be more a test of willpower than my finishing skills. So
I have to ask, because I know what this Christmas gift is. Is it getting painted? Is it getting clear finished? Is it getting stained?
A little bit of both, painted and clear finished. Depending on the surfaces that I'm using.
Sure.
So I don't know if John was at the shop today, he will have seen some of my parts in various stages of pre-finishing.
Yep.
So,
and I have to say the glued up half-inch plywood panels turned out fabulously. So I'm a believer. I might do this in the future.
I still think you both are ridiculous.
Well, what do you do with all these little pieces that are just laying around? I mean,
you stack them in the corner of your shop and then you throw them away in 4 years.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I can only build so many jigs and stuff. So it's like
this piece is too big to make 48 stop blocks from.
Right.
So I appreciate that. But yes, I am pleased with how it's turning out. And then obviously if you're painting it, it's, nobody's going to be the wiser on it. But so anyway, I'm working on that. And part of it is with this plywood is once you start adding pieces, very quickly the plywood overall structure starts to feel like it weighs a ton. So I'm going through and trying to be selective on maybe doing little cutouts or weight reducing strategies. Most of it's 1/2-inch plywood. I have a couple of smaller sections that are 3/8 plywood just to save a little weight here and there. So, and then yesterday I have this kind of fits along the lines of new tool, new project. Because we have a couple of issues in the future. We have a set of carving knives coming up as a project for the magazine. that our own resident Wile E. Coyote, Chris Fitch, is working on. So I've been following his progress, and then he actually made me a set of, because they're carving knives, so they have, don't know how well this can show up there for people, curved blades on them in a couple of different sweeps. So 2 of them are left-handed, and then 1 is double beveled, so that I'm sure to slice my thumb on the other side, depending on what I'm using for. And then also a kind of a spear point carving knife. So I need to make handles for him. He was inspired by a guy named Bill Copperthwaite, who wrote a book, like it's a handmade life or something like that. And he had a carving knife that was shaped like a fish. So the handle of it had a kind of a salmon look to it. And so kind of looking at it that way. So I'm looking at some different handle styles, different traditional handle styles. And the nice thing is I'll be able to use those on other people's gifts down the road. So,
did you happen to see that blank I left you?
I didn't. So I didn't.
I wanted to see if that was going to work and if that was going to be one of the mystery gifts.
Oh.
We're going to have like this huge running mystery gift thing from Phil. People are going to have to guess what he's making.
Things I'm excited about building, but can't tell anybody until it doesn't really matter. So,
yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing too. I'm building all this stuff. I just can't tell you about it.
We just can't show it off. We can't say anything about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's really cool. Just trust me.
Yeah. When you see it, you'll be amazed.
So I did kind of tie myself into, I have to pick up one of my projects that got started and stopped. I kind of tied myself into it because I promised the guys over at Norwood that I would, they do a weekly or bi-weekly, like Friday Live, like we used to pre-quarantine, and I've done a couple of them with them, and I promised them that I would do the ones for the fall, and they want to check in like on a weekly project that I'm working on. So I'm gonna have to pick up my side table parts from the studio and continue to work on my end tables for my nightstands for my bedroom upstairs. So I'm sure Becky will be happy that I get those parts out of there so they stop hanging out in there.
Well, they're back in deep storage now, so
they are. Yeah, they're in cryogenic.
Although I was kind of surprised because I didn't realize that they were still there and we were looking for something else. I'm like, oh, hey, what's this? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Logan's
I'm gonna have to keep working on those. So,
John, what about you?
Oh, I'm just finishing up my bookcase that has no purpose. So that is nice. I want to get started on a little tool tote that I have some found wood for that I don't really need, but I want to build. So haven't decided if we want to like just bring it home and do it here or shoot it on video there. Or so I just have the parts in waiting in hold now, standby.
Sure.
So got that. This week I saw a news story. It was a teacher here in Ankeny at one of the kids' schools that he is building desks for kids in need that are at home, that don't have a place to work. We have a lot of kids, working remotely part-time or full-time or online and have their computers either on their bed or the floor or the couch. And so apparently a lot of kids need desks that he's donating. So I was like, oh, that'd be cool just to maybe build a desk that, just to donate. I got a lot of scraps and stuff. So it looked like he was building them just out of 2x4s and plywood and stuff. And like, oh, I can do that maybe and donate a desk and whatever. But I mean, I have kids, but they can work on the floor. I don't care. So. I came home the other day and my 7th grader and her 2 friends were here working on their day off on schoolwork, and they were just spread out on the kitchen floor with their laptops on all their schoolwork. And there's like a huge kitchen table right next to them. It's like, I don't know, you guys could have worked there. And it's like, I don't know, we just started working here. And it's like, I don't know. So apparently they don't need a desk. So, but,
there you go.
So seeing what scraps I can find to maybe build a desk and get that out the door quickly. So
We should do one for video edition, that student desk with the laminate on it,
yeah, I really
and
like
then
that
do
one. So,
donate it or something.
yeah, because we're actually doing a desk or a teen room or something for an upcoming issue. I saw that's got a laminated top. So we just got like 2 sheets of laminate in, and they're only using one. So we have all this laminate laying around. It's like, oh, we should just build one of those desks because it's got a laminate top and decorative laminate on the sides, and yeah, give it away.
Well, and to be fair, we always have random like purple 90s laminate laying around.
Yeah,
True.
we got lots of laminate.
Yeah.
So same
It's
with
like
veneer.
Walkie Warriors purple.
There
Yeah,
you go.
no kidding.
Or Johnston,
Oh, that's right.
Somebody
Johnston's
could use
purple.
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings purple. Give it to Eric Loggy.
Yeah,
That's sad.
Yeah.
sad.
Pulling defeat from the jaws of victory.
Right.
Oh, you just angered all the Vikings fans that listen to us. We're going to lose 4 listeners.
Everybody, we're gonna lose everyone. They're all Vikings fans.
My in-laws.
They
anyway,
know.
So yeah,
They know.
they know what they did.
Yeah. Draft picks. They're going for draft picks this year.
Right. Because that Herschel Walker thing turned out so good for them. So
Right.
Because you're terrible.
So, yeah.
I'm not saying anything. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan over here. I'm not saying anything because I know how they feel.
right. John, do you even have a pro football team that you're partial to?
Not really. I kind of just latch on to whatever Midwest team. Like, have lots of family members that have teams, so we cheer for all of them, I guess. So I'm a Iowa State Cyclone fan, so I have enough pain in my life that I don't need like more pain.
All right. That's fair.
So I'm a Chiefs fan this year and last year, so works out great.
Okay. It's acceptable. All right. I think that wraps it up, everybody, for another episode of the Shop Notes podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks, we'd love to hear them. You can submit them on our YouTube channel, where you can also watch episodes of the Shop Notes podcast and see some of the things that we're talking about. You can also email us. The address is woodsmith@woodsmith.com, or connect with us on Facebook. Otherwise, we'll see you again next week for another episode of the Shop Notes podcast. Bye, everybody.
This episode of Shop Notes Podcast is brought to you by Woodsmith Plans. You'll find nearly 1,000 plans covering everything that you'd want to build. From furniture projects to gift projects, kitchen accessories, workshop projects, and jigs and more. Find your next project at woodsmithplans.com.